The home buying process can be a challenging one, and a lot of times there are different problems that we encounter. And so what we want to talk about here is some of the most common problems and the solutions that we have to overcome some of those problems. Number one problem is credit issues. A lot of times, if you have a low credit score, that's going to make it very hard to get a loan. And so the solution is, hey, talk with us first. Look at your credit report. And if you don't want to talk to us first, obviously you can go online and do different things, but you want to check your credit first. Okay, look for inaccuracies. You can go to annualcreditreport.com. It's a free site for the government that you're able to check your report and see where things are at. And again, check for inaccuracies, see what's going on. The benefit of talking to us is we can give you some tips on what to do. A lot of times, for example, somebody after a bankruptcy, in an effort to not ever get into that situation again, they will never do any credit. They'll never have credit cards or anything like that because they don't want to get in trouble again, which makes sense, right? We can understand the logic behind that. The problem is for that person, the only way to fix bad credit is to have good credit. And if you have no credit, well, then all they say is the bad credit and nothing ever gets better. So you need to have good credit on there to start repairing the bad credit in the sense of showing that, hey, no, things have changed. I'm better now. And so that's why credit cards are a very helpful tool to building credit again. Anyhow, the point is credit issues is one of the main things. That's one thing you'd want to do is, hey, here's some ideas for fixing your credit. Obstacle number 2 is lack of a down payment. Okay, a lot of people think that you need to have 20% down to buy a house. It's still a very common misconception out there, but that's not true. There are a lot of zero down programs. There's 3% to 3.5% down programs, 5% down conventional programs, obviously 20% down too, but you do not have to have a down payment to buy a home. Third obstacle is high debt to income ratios. High debt to income ratio means essentially your income and then the debts, the monthly payments on the debts is high, right? So if you're making $5,000 a month and, monthly payments are $2,500, that means essentially 50% of your income is going towards monthly debt. So a potential solution to helping you is pay down some of those debts. Obviously, it's much easier to get a car loan than a home loan. And so forego maybe buying that. A solution for this is to pay down debts before you apply or apply with us. And then, hey, let's have you pay down some debts and then we can redo your pre-approval. Again, the purpose of this is to allow you to qualify for more home. And so it's much easier to buy a car than it is a home. And so a lot of times I say, hey, forego buying the car, the toys, the different things like that until you buy a home, because again, it's much easier to get those other things. They'll give you those debts, no problem. A home loan, those are going to play into how much you qualify for. And so obviously, if you want to qualify for more house, you need less debts. And so that's a big item there. Number 4 obstacle is finding the right property. Obviously, at times, the market is very competitive and it's hard to find a home out there. So consider expanding your search, going into areas that maybe you didn't plan to go to, different cities that you weren't planning to do. A real estate agent is someone that can really help you during this process, right? Because again, they may have access to listings that have, barely hit the market or have not hit the market yet. And so that's some of the times the benefit of them is they have these homes before the general public can see that. They also can, just help you find things a little bit easier. A 5th obstacle is bidding wars. Sometimes it's a hot market and sometimes that house that just came on the market, everyone wants. And so it makes it a little bit hard to get it when you get into a bidding war. A big solution for a bidding war is be ready for it, in the sense that you already have a pre-approval in place. You already know kind of how much you're willing to go on. You have extra cash maybe for, not having the sellers pay closing costs. You could maybe do those and stuff like that. Just be ready for it. A lot of times if, the home of your dreams comes up first, it's sometimes hard because you're like, hey, I'm just starting. I didn't know that, I needed to make such an aggressive offer. And again, that's why experience and kind of looking at homes is going to be helpful for you. It's also why a realtor does come into play here. Okay. A realtor can help you with that bidding war, doing, escalation clauses on the contract where, okay, if somebody does hire, you can bid a little bit more and stuff like that. So some of those things help with trying to get the deal, land the deal. Also, one of the things I would say that I've learned over the time is talk to the seller, selling agent, and find out what's big for them. You may think price is all about it. Maybe they care more about a timeline. Maybe they just want a good family. And so you kind of show, hey, look at us. We're a nice family. I don't know. Point is, find out what the sellers want, because that's a big deal, because everybody thinks it's price. And again, it may be price, but it may not. Number 6 obstacle is home inspection issues. Okay. Sometimes that home that you're looking at, it looks really good. You're excited about it. And truth be told, there's some big problems with it, okay? Things that the home inspector finds and you're like, oh no, maybe we shouldn't buy this house. That's why one of the solutions here is to make sure that you have contingencies in your contract where you can back out if the home ends up being a lemon or has repairs that are too big for you to really want to deal with, okay? And so if that's the case, you want to make sure that you're able to back out because you don't want to lose your earnest money or anything like that. Okay. It also gives you a chance because maybe you don't back out. Maybe you found some problems with it, but they're not deal breakers. but you want a chance to renegotiate the contract. And again, if you have those contingencies in place, now you can say, hey, sellers, we're going to back out, or hey, maybe you can now push, $5,000, $10,000, whatever towards XYZ repairs. Okay. And so again, making sure that you are prepared for the fact that this home may have some issues that you don't want to have to fix after the fact. And again, that depends on how hot the market is and things like that. But that's something to consider. Number 7 issue is appraisal. Similar to home inspection, but it's more on the fact of the topic of value. So typically when we order an appraisal, the appraiser is trying to, hit the value. Okay. He knows what the purchase price is. And so he's trying to essentially justify the value of that home. So if you're offering 300, he's likely going to come in around 300 because one of the best comparables is you. Okay, you're willing to pay $300 for that house. And so again, he's trying to justify that value. Now, if that value comes in low, again, that goes back to home inspection. You want to have contingencies in place so that you can back out if you need to. If the appraisal comes in low, you may not be able to get the kind of financing that you thought you could because now the home is worth less than what you're trying to pay for it. And so you need to kind of figure things out. Okay. Typically when an appraisal comes in low, you have a few options here. Number 1 is you can back out. Number 2 is you can renegotiate the sales price. So let's say the home is worth, you're buying it for $300 and it comes in at $295. Well, in that scenario, maybe the sellers are willing to drop the price to $295. Okay. Third option is you can kind of meet in the middle somewhere. You can say, hey, we'll pay $297 for it, even though it's only worth $295. So you're paying $2,000 over asking. That may be a solution for you. Keep in mind though that your down payment, so if you were putting 20% down, that 20% down is off of the lower value versus the purchase price. So in this case, if you're buying the home for the appraisal is at $295, you're putting 20% down of $295 plus the $2,000 that you're paying over. So $297, right? Does that make sense? So again, the down payment is based off of the lower value. So keep that in mind. Number 8 is mortgage denial. It happens. Sometimes you're pre-approved for a home and the loan progresses and the underwriter catches something that maybe you didn't disclose. Perhaps something was done incorrectly. And sometimes there is a mortgage denial. Again, the benefit of being a broker is we can take that loan and maybe send it to another lender that's maybe a little more lenient on something that first lender found not right. It's also possible that sometimes the mortgage loan may just have delays. Okay. Maybe you're not as quick with getting the documentations for the conditions and different things like that. So again, plan on these things. That's why when I say as far as timeline goes, it's always better to have more time on the contract if you need, just so that we can always close early, but if the loan has delays or anything like that, that way you don't have to extend. So it's always good to have enough time on the contract. That way you're okay. You don't have to worry about having to extend that deadline if delays happen. So by understanding these common obstacles, you can better prepare for them, right? That's the purpose of this video, is to help you understand, hey, things do go wrong. There are problems. And so if you know about these problems ahead of time by watching this video and understanding some of these things, you're better prepared for them, right? So that you know, hey, in this situation, okay, here's what we're going to do. In that situation, here's what we're going to do. And again, that's why it's good to have a trusted partner, obviously with you during this process, because I've been doing loans for a very long time now. And so I've seen pretty much everything, right? So I know what's going to happen. And that's the benefit of this is, okay, in this situation, hey, we should do this. Here's my counsel. It's always up to you. I'm going to give you some counsel though. I'm going to say, hey, here's what I may do in this situation. And so that way you're better prepared again for the things that are coming your way, better able to make the transaction go more smoothly.